Hey guys, it's Fabian Shaw, full-time day trader and accountability coach with Tradacc, coming at you today with a big review for Apex Trader Funding, which is the largest futures prop firm in the industry right now. So if you want to know more about whether this is a good firm to go with, tune in to the rest of the video. Why should you listen to me? Well, I recently got my first payout from Tradacc, which is another funded prop firm in the future space. So I got a $3,000 profit share, and I have been heavily invested in this industry for the last couple of years. So I've tried out most of the prop firms, and I would say Apex is my favorite right now for the following reasons. So usually there are sales going on in the range of 80 to 90%, which makes the accounts very, very good value for money. And there's way more pros than drawbacks. So one of the drawbacks to Apex trader funding is the trailing threshold, which means that your the equity that you have available before you blow the account follows you up in the middle of your trade. Which a lot of traders don't like, but I would say that's usually a result of them having bad risk management. If you're not risking insane amounts, the trailing threshold shouldn't make much of a difference between whether you blow the account or not, versus, let's say, an end of day drawdown account. So it's really not a factor, especially when you consider the value of the accounts. So there's three brokers now. There used to be two, but they've recently added wealth charts, which are never used. I recommend Rhythmic or Tradavate, ideally Tradavate, because personally I use NinjaTrader, and with NinjaTrader, I don't think you can connect. I think wealth charts is a standalone thing, but with NinjaTrader connections, I can connect to either Rhythmic or Tradavate. But one of the caveats with NinjaTrader is that you can only connect to one Rhythmic prop firm, whereas you can connect to unlimited Tradavate. So for instance, if I have Tradacc Tradavate accounts, I could also trade Apex Tradavate, and I could trade Top Step Rhythmic accounts, for instance, because I could have one Rhythmic and multiple Tradavates. But if I bought Rhythmic accounts on Apex, I couldn't trade Top Step Rhythmic accounts because there's only one connection allowed. So the interesting thing is that Rhythmic is a better connection. It's a better broker, but you can only connect to one of them on your PC. And Tradavate is slightly worse, but not by much. But it's still probably the recommended one to go to, even if there is a slight delay in your executions, just because you can multi-account. And the nice thing with Apex is that you can have 20 accounts. So let me just connect to my. So I've connected to my Tradavate connection, and I have one account. And yeah, these are the trades that I did on Friday. In NinjaTrader, you can, if you purchase a Tradavate account, you can also just log in on Tradavate and just trade directly on the website. Tradavate.com, you can just, you can get a chart up here and trade. It's very similar how with Rhythmic, basically with Rhythmic, you have to, you basically connect to your Apex account on Rhythmic Trader Pro, and then you can trade in Rhythmic, or you can connect on NinjaTrader. And then with Tradavate, you don't need to download any software, so it's a bit easier in that regard. You just log in with your Apex connection, and you can trade directly there. Or if you really want a multi-account, probably best to download the free NinjaTrader software, and then you can get up to 20 accounts. So when you go to buy one of these accounts, you get taken to this, you basically log in, you get taken to this back end where this is where you manage all your accounts, your renewals and stuff. So I have some 300Ks renewing pretty soon. Right now I have this 50K, which I spent 33 bucks on, which you might think is incredibly cheap. However, like I said, sometimes there's crazy deals. So I actually have 300K accounts, which only cost me $16.70, which are renewing pretty soon. And I have some other ones which were $30. So anywhere between $20 and $30, you can pretty much get any size account if you wait long enough for the right sale. And like I say, they're pretty much every month or two. So there's no reason ever to pay full price. Like I would say, if you can get this account, which is a $300 account for $20 to $30, that's great. I wouldn't pay $300 for it though. So which account should you get? Well, if you're looking purely at the ROI, if you're already really, really experienced and you just want to get the most bang for buck, you should always go for the 300Ks on discount because, basically all the accounts end up being kind of the same price. They all end up being $20 to $30. And then when you go for the activation, when you pass, you hit the profit goal, it's usually 130 bucks to activate. So full cost might be $30 for 300K. You make the $20,000 profit goal with 7,500 trailing, and then you get the funded account with the same variables. So you get funded 7,500, and you have to pay 130 for the activation. So all in, 160 bucks. But with the 50K, which a lot of newer traders do, if that's 90% off, they might pay $17 for that, and then another 130 for the activation. So almost paying as much as the 300K for a third of the drawdown, only 2,500 instead of 7,500. But the trade-off is that you get started making money sooner because you only have to make 1.2 times your drawdown, whereas on the 300K you got to make 2.66 20K with 7.5. So 300K is definitely a lot more difficult to pass, but if you can do it, it's worth it. ROI is better, but in saying that, the ROI on the 50K is still better than trading your own money. So ultimately, they're all good. I would just stay away from the 25K because it's basically the same price as the 50, but you have like half the drawdown. So this is basically worthless. 25K, never. I would not recommend that to anybody. I'd say if you're brand new at day trading, you should just try the 50K, and then depending on the sales, get one of these three. It really depends. If they're all the same price though, like it is now, they've changed them all to 300. So with the 80% off, they're all $60. Then it makes sense just to go for the biggest one. But if it's variable, then go for whichever one you're comfortable paying for. And then you will have a monthly subscription, and if you blow the account, you lose the trailing drawdown before the month is up. You can just wait until the renewal, like I'm doing now with these 300Ks, and then you pay the new renewal fee and you get the account reset, which is cheaper than resetting the account by itself, because sometimes that might cost by default it's 100, but usually they have a promo where it's like $50 to reset. But obviously if you can buy a new account for 20 or 30, it's not really worth resetting the drawdown in the middle of the month because you'd have to pay a new subscription at the end of the month anyway. So that's pretty much it about Apex. You can trade all of the good futures instruments you want. Obviously it doesn't have stocks, it doesn't have I think it used to have European indices, but apparently these are only on Tradabc, not on Rhythmic. So you still can trade the DAX on Tradabc, but mainly they're focused on American markets. So no matter which broker you have, you can be trading the S&P or the Nasdaq 100, which is what I trade. And they have very low commissions, really, really low. It's like like $3 for a round turn on a mini, which is less than one tick. On that, Nasdaq is $5 a tick, so $3. It's 60% of one tick, so very, very cheap trading fees, and the payout structure is fine on this. I mean, you have to trade 8 days and you have to get to your minimum balance, which is the initial trading threshold plus $100. That's your initial balance for the threshold for the payout. So if you pass this and you have a 300k funded account, you pay the activation fee. Then to get your first payout, you have to make this plus 100. So you got to make $7,600, and then you're allowed to withdraw 500 into that on any account. So you could then withdraw, you could take a $500 payout and keep the 7,100 to trade with, or you could just make more than that 7,100 level. So if you got to 10,100, you could withdraw 3,000. If you see what I mean, 500 is the minimum. Well, it's not the minimum. You can take out less, but basically once you're allowed to withdraw, the max you can withdraw is 500 from that buffer. You have to keep this in there for the first 3 payouts, and then on your 4th, 5th, and 6th payouts, you can go into the buffer. So you could take out that first 7,000 profit that you made, and then on your 6th payout, you can take out everything. So they do keep you keeping some of the profits that you made in the account, which is not ideal, but it's pretty much what all the prop firms do. And you only have to do 6 payouts to get everything, and each payout can be requested after 8 trading days. So, you know, it's 48 trading days, which is like 2 months, really, 2 and a bit, 2.5. And you could be getting a big payout, like Jade Cap recently did 2.5 million. Tradacc did 1 million, I think, 1.2, not really sure. So basically the biggest payouts in the futures industry are from Apex, because they allow this 6th uncapped payout. And yeah, that's what the big boys have been doing, getting 20 of these accounts and scaling. And another thing I didn't mention is they give you a lot of buying power, a massive amount of buying power. So if you were using a discount broker and you had $7,500 threshold, you would only be allowed to do 7 minis, but on Apex you could actually trade 35 minis. So if you're like a super low time frame scalper, you know, you can really leverage the account, which is great. And like I say, the trade fees are really low, so trading conditions are really good on Apex. Tradovate I would recommend. Rhythmic's good too. And that's pretty much it. Just don't go for 20 accounts when you're first starting out. Profit splits are really good as well. You get $25,000 of the first, sorry, you get 100% of the first 25,000 that you withdraw from each account, which is great. And 90% after that, very nice. There's no daily drawdown rule. News trading's allowed. It's very simple. There's been some issues with Apex in the past, people saying they denied payouts and stuff. That was when they were kind of changing their rules around. But yeah, I would say Apex is probably the most trustworthy platform out there right now, because they're very big, and ultimately the only people they don't pay out are the people who are kind of gaming the system, and they're, you know, trading in groups and like hedging accounts and all this nonsense. They're not actually trading properly. So if you're not doing anything dodgy, then you don't really have anything to worry about. One thing I didn't mention as well is that Tradovate is integrated with TradingView. So if you don't want a complicated setup like with NinjaTrader, you just want to click buy and sell on TradingView. You can't do that with Rhythmic, but if you have Tradovate accounts, which Apex offer, you can do that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you want to learn how to trade and actually get an edge, then you should head over to Tradacc and see what we have to offer there, because there is live trading, full accountability, and mentorship available there. So you just book in a call and see if they can help you out, and this will get you an edge to trade. And then if you are interested in Apex itself, then just check out the Tradacc best offers, and that will send you straight to Apex's website and you can get going. It's very simple. You just pick the account that you want and then just click on Tradovate, and then you get given this kind of confusing looking form, but basically you just have to tick all the boxes and fill in the payment information. Just make sure that when you check out, it is the discount is activated, because you don't want to pay the full price. Always make sure you get the discount. And then if you want to buy more accounts after, let's say you bought one, you want to buy more, you can just go to Rhythmic or you can go to Tradovate, and then you can click on another account, 300k, and then same thing. You just type in the code, and then the $300 should be dropped to 600, and you just check out, and then basically you'll have your dashboard with your accounts. And if you have Rhythmic, it will give you your Rhythmic login. If you have Tradovate, it will give you your Tradovate login. And then basically if you use Tradovate, you just have to let me log out. You just go on tradovate.com and click on login with your Tradovate username and password from Apex and access the simulation. And then you're logged in. This is the account that you would use. Obviously not mine. I'm not going to show you my password, but you would have one here as long as you have a single active account. And that's how you log in and trade. And there's also something that you should know with your accounts, is that a nice thing about Tradovate is that it shows you how much drawdown you have left. So if you have a 50k account with 2,500 and you make a little bit of profit, like I made $230 and then I lost the money, it tells you where your auto liquidation level is. That Rhythmic does that as well. But one of the nice things about Tradovate is that you can have this distance to drawdown, so it automatically finds out what's the difference between your current account balance and the auto liquidation level, and it subtracts that one from that one, and then it tells you your distance to drawdown. So if you want to add that, which I recommend, you have to go to your accounts window, which if you don't have, go to the top left and you will find accounts here, and you just click and drag that somewhere. Once you have that on your screen, the accounts, you go to the settings at the top right and select columns, and then on the left here find distance drawdown, and then drag it over here and then press save, and then you'll see distance to drawdown here, and this will always show you how much money you have left. So at the start of each trading day, you know how many contracts you want to trade. You know, if you want to go easy with 1 micro or you want to go 4 micros. It's up to you because you know how much drawdown you've got available. All right, that is the end of the review.